calling it like it is, bringing the community together, and working for justice. Attorney Travis McConnell talks politics, trending news, and how you can make a difference. You're listening to We Trust Travis. Hello, everyone. I'm Serena Fazan, a journalist, host, and producer. Welcome to this episode of We Trust Travis. Travis McConnell is a personal injury attorney with a huge passion for the community. So let's get right to it and welcome Travis. Hi, Travis.
Hey there again. Good to have you back.
Great to see you. So Travis McConnell is joining us actually from his law office in Indiana. He's a practicing attorney in Indiana and Florida. And joining me, speaking of the community, in the studio in St. Petersburg is Victoria Preston, the founder of Our Daily Bread. I am so excited to introduce the two of you.
Hi, Serena. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, Travis. Nice meeting you.
Hey, Victoria. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
So the reason why I thought it was so fitting for you, Victoria, to be on We Trust Travis and on his show is because Travis is also such a huge contributor to the community and doing things that make the community stronger and better, more unified. So Travis, let's start with your projects first on One Warsaw and some of the other things you're doing in Indiana.
Sure. So One Warsaw is a local community building organization that I helped to start. That basically the mission is to inspire inclusion through support, education, and celebration of all people. So we really work to try and bring the community together and make it a more welcoming place for everyone. And we do that through a variety of things. Like we have a big event in September. It's like basically a big town festival. That's an inclusion festival that spotlights different organizations doing things for different sectors of the population and gets everybody to come together and talk to each other and eat food and listen to music and just have a great time and realize that, hey, we have more in common than we don't. And then we also do what we've called Be Kind talks, kind of like with a TED Talk type idea to go deeper and try and do some education type stuff. We did a whole series last year about racism and anti-racism with the George Floyd stuff that happened. We also have a Juneteenth event that we do. That was the first Juneteenth event here in Warsaw, as well as a number of other things. And we even started working with the local schools to try and work with the local school level.
So, Victoria, before we talk about what you do, hearing about Travis, how does that make you feel?
No, it's wonderful. I wish there were more people like Travis who do things like that, who help the community and do good and bring people together and help one another, because really it will make such a difference in all of our communities, no matter which state you're in. It should be everywhere, in my opinion. And that's wonderful that you're doing that. And thank you for including me. I'm so happy to be here with you.
And the reason why I wanted to include you, because we wanted to talk about your organization, Our Daily Bread. So both of you, again, grassroots efforts, talk to us about Our Daily Bread. You are the founder, when you established it, and what your organization does.
Yes, so I founded Our Daily Bread Tampa Bay in 2012 together with my other board members, and we've been just growing since then. We have community partners that help us collect food and distribute it to families in need. That's how we first started. Panera Bread was one of my first community partners, and then Whole Foods and many others followed. And in the beginning, we were just supporting other organizations that I thought would benefit, or that I met and I learned that they could use our support. And we've supported many, like Ronald McDonald House Salvation Army and a lot of others. And then we have been quickly outgrowing my own capacity, because I used to pick it up in my own car in the beginning. And 3 years ago, I was invited to Tampa Bay Harvest, and I am now the vice president of Tampa Bay Harvest. And together they have the strong logistics that we needed to pick up all of our donations and put them in a place. And we opened a cost-free grocery store 3 years ago, right here in North Tampa. And that is where all of our food donations go now. And so all of the food goes there, and we distribute it from there. And we also help a lot of organizations beyond the Tampa community when we receive very large donations, like 10,000 chickens or things like that.
You can help people.
We have to get rid of fast, so we can help more. Even, we've been helping even hurricane relief out of state and as far as we can reach with what donations we receive.
Well, it's so
So-
surprising. I know, like, what are the stats here, Victoria, about how many people actually that go hungry? I mean, it's startling.
Too many, yeah, it's always too many, and especially with the COVID pandemic, we have seen an increase, of course, in families that needed help. And so when they need help, they can come to our cost-free grocery store, and we offer them our healthy foods. And we've been blessed with a lot of organic foods and healthy donations we're receiving, and our families can take
benefit.
that food and use their money to pay their mortgage so they don't fall behind on their payments. And so we're just supporting one another. But really, our pastor Sixto, who runs the whole organization, whom you're going to meet today, I hope, he has the vision that to open more free grocery stores throughout America. So Travis, maybe we should come to you or somewhere there and do something like that where people can receive the help they need. And
That would be fantastic.
that is his vision to duplicate. He's already starting duplicating, actually. He can tell you more about it, Serena, but to do it in more areas where people need help so that we can have this program in other states as well.
Wouldn't it be great that then the two of you connected on your show, Travis, and then all of a sudden there's also our Daily Bread in Warsaw. So Travis, speaking of that though, and food, you also have been talking about a food pantry as well. I mean, it's so surprising on how many people go hungry in this country.
Yes.
It is. Yeah, we've got way too many here too. Of course, if there's one person that's going hungry in a community, it's too many in our country. I mean, there's more than enough that no one should go hungry. So yeah, I had the opportunity to help out myself with an organization. They reached out to me. It's their organization's Voices Against Injustice, and they wanted to put in a community food pantry. And it's basically one of those boxes that you would just see that you would get at Lowe's or Menards or Home Depot or wherever you go to the store. It's like a little, well, you might imagine like a little garden shed, but instead of putting your tools in there, you put food in there. And so they reached out to me about if I would be willing to host one at my office. And I said, of course, absolutely. I said, let me call the city and make sure they're not going to give me a hard time about it, which I did, and talked with the city planner. And he said, no, you're fine. Not an issue at all. And so they painted a beautiful Van Gogh type art on this box, and it's behind my office and full of food and other personal hygiene products and things like that. And the simple idea is, if you can leave something, leave something. If you need something, then take it. And, you know, it's just a community solidarity support system.
What a wonderful
That
idea,
is
isn't
wonderful.
that?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we operate by the same principle. If you need something, come and take it. And if you can give something, come and give it, or help another family and give back. Help the family behind you in line. Like we believe in the same principles there too.
And you know, so I wanted to, which is it's a wonderful thing because it's people like you that make the whole world a better place, right? But Travis, with your expertise as an attorney, because a lot of times in Victoria, as you said, all of this is voluntary based. Everything is voluntary based.
Yes, it is.
So Travis, and I know for you too, but you are a lawyer. So what advice can you give to people? Because you also, of course, you want to help people, but you have to protect yourself too, right? So what advice would you have if someone is interested in starting a nonprofit?
Well, I mean, first thing you can do is actually start a business entity as opposed to doing it yourself on an individual basis to protect yourself individually. Make a company, then it can be a not-for-profit company. And then going from there, you're going to look at the different types of tax structures if you want to be a 501c3 organization and get the benefit of tax-exempt status and tax-exempt giving that a lot of people want to do. But some organizations that are looking to be maybe a little more political, 501c3 is not going to be a good fit because you're not allowed to be political. That's the trade-off in the tax-exempt giving status. So if you're going to be more political, then you're going to need to go a different route potentially. But making the actual organization itself and registering is fairly simple online as far as making your articles of organization and all that sort of stuff that you need to do. You should probably reach out to a lawyer and see if they'd be willing to help you with it. There are a large number of lawyers, all of us actually, that are required to do a certain amount of pro bono hours per year. And they should be offering that. And they might be willing to help you to file those papers for little or no cost, potentially. So reach out to law firms and ask them, like, hey, I've got this. Do you guys do that? You might get no's for a while, but eventually you might get a yes.
Well, Victoria, why don't you ask him? Because we both had this look like we didn't. So is this nationwide that there are attorneys that are required to do some pro bono hours, Travis?
Yep. I mean, it's actually required by the bar. I think pretty much every state, definitely in Florida and Indiana, we were required to fill out a statement every year that says how many hours of pro bono we did.
That is
And I guess
wonderful to know.
when I say required, I don't know what happens if you don't do it because I've never not done it. And there is an option to, instead of doing pro bono hours, to give money in place of time. So some lawyers may opt for giving money to like you can give money to a legal service agency like the Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic or someone like that, where they provide free services. You're supporting them with your money. They're the ones actually doing the pro bono hours. But a lot of law firms, especially like where you guys are at in Tampa, St. Pete, a lot of the bigger law firms will have specific billable hour requirements for pro bono hours.
Well, and honestly, the bottom line is, and I want you both to talk about this, when you reach out and ask for help, usually, and like your own, I mean, your husband is the CEO of Idonius, right? Jarrett Preston, we've got to give him, we've got to talk about him too. He's amazing. But his company has also stepped in to help. I mean, wouldn't you say
It is wonderful. From my own personal experience, and I'm not so good at asking for help, but really, once you get past that, when you actually do ask, it's very rarely that somebody says no. You just have to get past that discomfort in the beginning and think, what is the worst thing that can happen? Really, they can say no. But that's how it started in the beginning when I reached out to Panera Bread or Whole Foods, started asking, would you like to become my community partner? And sometimes you have to go through many steps to get there, and sometimes it's not possible. But really, a lot of people actually are happy to help you when you say what you're doing, and they're happy to become a part of it. You just have to get past that. Not be uncomfortable to ask. Actually, a lot of people are happy that you're reaching out. Well, is what I've learned, but it's not always easy.
Well, let me ask, and I want Travis to weigh in on this too. So I am one of those people too that I have a very hard time asking. So what advice do you have, Victoria, for people to just do it? What is your advice?
I don't have any advice for you because nobody would say no to you if you would ask for something. That I'm sure of. But for somebody else, I think you maybe start with somewhere small. Go to a place where you are already a customer, where you already shop, or you already know somebody to make that more comfortable for yourself. And reach out and see how their reaction is. And then once you kind of learn what the questions are, or what they're, how the conversation is going, then you become more comfortable going into a scenario where you don't know the store managers, or you don't know, but maybe start somewhere in your community, in your neighborhood, and just reach out. And really, we're all just humans. And I think when we share the story with the good we're doing, people are happy to hear that, and they're really welcoming. You just have to get started.
Well, and you have huge community partners now. I mean, we just mentioned Panera Bread, but you have Publix, the list is huge.
Publix doesn't donate to us anymore right now, but they used to. No, they used to. But yeah, we have a lot of community partners, and it's just so wonderful, and they do want to help. And also, they really have many times they don't have use for the products they're giving us any longer, so they're happy that they can give it to somebody who can put it to good use. They're happy that they can give their milk that expires in 7 days from now to a family tomorrow in our grocery store that really needs it. So when they know, and also when we invite them to come and actually see what we're doing, all of our amazing volunteers and our Pastor Sixto and Susan that run the whole operation, that is so much work, unbelievable, that they are really happy to see when you see it with your own eyes and you see the families coming through, and really makes you happy to be a part of it. Makes you happy to be there, and you want to be there, and you want to give back, and you want to do something to contribute.
And that's exactly it. I mean, Travis, do you feel the same way, that it's just like, maybe it's easier for you as an attorney to ask, right? Or what advice would you have?
Yeah, I'm not a bashful guy, so as far as having a hard time asking, typically any organization I'm a part of, I'm one of the askers. So I may not be the best at giving advice, but I think her point about starting small I'd echo that. And you could even practice it at home first to try and get yourself a little more comfortable. Write out a script if you're not comfortable impromptu, and practice at home on your friends or family before you go out. But I think the biggest thing is just once you do it and you get that first yes, you're going to feel so much better about it. And then as you continue to get more and more yeses, like the no and the fear is just going to go away. I'd maybe say it's like an analogy to learning a foreign language. Like I speak Spanish in addition to English, and there's this old saying that basically, you don't learn a language unless you live somewhere where you have to speak it to order your food. And there's a certain thing about necessity, like in this, because since you have to do it, that whole fear factor of not wanting to say something wrong is gone because you have to do it or you're not going to be able to eat. And so you do it and you push through the fear factor and because you're just doing it. So really it's just the fact that you have to get out there and do it. And if you want to practice at home first, or another point would be get an asker on your team, somebody like me who's not afraid to ask.
Yeah, that is good advice. And also from my own personal experience, actually, I just remembered what really works for me better personally. Sometimes when I just share the story of what we do, or I share somebody whom we helped, or a situation that had come to our attention and a family that needs help, and I only just share the scenario, then I don't have to ask for help. And somebody who hears that will say, oh my gosh, can I do something? I want to help. Like, what can we do to help this family? I'm going to help you. And then I actually didn't end up asking. So I only shared the story, and it makes people want to be helpful. But when they know I can do something to help this family, when you hear a concrete scenario, that's I think that gets people to say yes, they want to help you get there, achieve your goal, help whatever you need to do. And then you actually didn't even ask them for anything. It's human nature.
It's human nature. And there's always someone like a Travis in the group, right? Because usually, right, Travis? But there usually is someone. Yeah. I loved when you said, well, I'm not bashful to ask, right? But there typically, in a circle of people, there is someone like a Travis McConnell that'll come up and step up to help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think your point too, like so many people right now, even big corporations, you talk about like it's Panera and like how do I get through, but even big corporations right now are looking to give back. They're looking for ways to put it on their website that they're part of their community and how they support people. It's something that their investors and shareholders are looking for them to do. And so they're looking to do it to satisfy their shareholders and investors.
So Travis, let me ask you though, does it not to get to a serious point, is there a point though that when you do start a nonprofit, and I know you should go to an attorney and ask for advice, but should you have an attorney on, and I know a lot of these are volunteer positions, but on staff per se?
Depending on the situation, maybe, but I mean, I would think for most organizations, you don't need to worry about having somebody directly on staff. But you definitely, like one thing that we use that I got from another organization that I was a part of is what's called a board matrix, where you have your board fill out surveys about what their skill levels are and a variety of skill levels that are important. And you want to make sure and have people who have comfort and skill level in legal things, if legal things come up that you can turn to. Or if you don't have that on your board, then you want to have somebody who can fill any sort of gap, whether that's legal, finance, because you're going to have to do finance stuff, taxes. One of the things that we have is askers. Do you have people who are good at fundraising? People that are good at HR type of things. There's all these different categories that you want to keep track of and make sure that you try and get a broad cross section to fulfill the needs that your organization is going to have.
That is a great idea. So you would suggest putting at least a survey for someone to fill out. I mean, that's a great idea. Do you guys do that?
No.
This is something maybe we
I will. Thank you. No, it's because when we first started our organization, it wasn't really a planned scenario, so I didn't really strategize because I didn't have the plan to start a nonprofit. So I did not consider all of these facts, but as the years passed, it is true what he's saying, and it's so important to have like a balanced team of people. You have different strengths than me, a different background, different experience than me, and different ways of helping. That is the good way to build it, how Travis proposed, for sure.
This is why I'm so passionate about, doing shows and sharing shows, because you learn so much. Like just in these few minutes, for me, what I've taken away a lot, but the two key points that I've taken away, honestly, is when you said to start small, like, start small, start in your own area. I loved what Travis said when he said, maybe even do a script, start with your family. Great way to practice. And then Travis, what you mentioned about putting together that survey.
Yeah, and it's just that you put the categories that you feel like are important and rank it 1 through 10, your familiarity, strength in this area. Ask your people to fill it out, put it together into a Excel sheet or something like that compiles it, and then here's our average strength on the board and what you're weak at and what you're strong at and what you need to try and recruit or find from another source.
Wonderful. Well, okay, as we wrap up the show, Victoria, do you have any questions for Travis? Or any comments, I should say.
Travis, it's so interesting. I want to learn more about it. So do you think you can duplicate this in your Tampa office, in your St. Petersburg location with the food pantry? Is that something you want to do in this area, or do you already?
Potentially, yeah. We don't have one there, but we could potentially put one there. Yeah.
If you put it there, we can support you. That's what I was asking. But everybody can.
We can. I'd be fine putting up a box, and then it's just I'm not there to check on it, but I've got other people that are at the office that could check on it, and so yeah.
No, I want to be in touch, and I want to know about your events and what the events you mentioned that you're hosting. Maybe we can come and visit.
How exciting would that be?
The big festival is September the 18th. If you guys want to come up, lots of fun. So.
Thank you.
See, you never know what could happen.
Yes,
so Travis, any last thoughts on this episode?
No, that's it. Sounds like Victoria and I need to talk a lot more off air.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
The things you're doing.
Yes, I would love that. Thank you so much. I'll be in touch for sure.
I'll make sure to connect you both. Well, thank you guys so much for both being here.
Serena.
Of course, it's your show, Travis.
Thank you, Travis, for having me on your show. Thank you, Serena, for inviting me to be a part of it.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you, everybody, for participating in this show or watching this show for We Trust Travis. We encourage you to like it and share the video and stay tuned for more episodes. Stay safe, everyone, and thanks again.
To learn more about Travis McConnell, head to travismclaw.com. Thank you for listening to We Trust Travis.